Hey guys, this is part 3 of the in-depth guide series to Blender for absolute first-time users. In this video, we're going to learn how to transform objects in object mode. Since we covered basic movement in the last part, we're now going to move our objects around and transform them. Just a quick editor's note here. There's a lot of shortcuts and information in this video, so I included an object mode shortcut cheat sheet that I'll put on screen right now. Feel free to make a screenshot or download it in the description down below. It will definitely help in memorizing the information. I tried making the video as short as physically possible while only including the absolute most important information. So we're back in Blender. In order to move or grab our object, we can press the G button. So pressing G moves our object. In order to confirm our movement, we can left click the screen. So G to grab, left click to confirm. In order to scale our object, we can press S. So S to scale, and then click again to confirm your scaling. In order to rotate our object, we can press R. So R to rotate, and again, left click to confirm our rotation. I want to note that the input of the transforms can also be combined with the X, Y, or Z to lock the axis around the transformation orientation. So if I press R and then X, you'll see that the rotation is locked around the X axis. Similarly, if I press G and then Z, it will be locked around the Z axis. And similarly with the scaling, if I press S and then X, you'll see that it will be locked in that axis also. The status bar in the bottom of the screen is especially useful if you forget what combinations are possible. So just a quick recap. If we want to move our cube, we press G. If we want to rotate our cube, we can press R. And if we want to scale, we can press S. And then to lock rotation to a certain axis, or lock movement, or lock scaling, we can first press G, then Z, or R and X, or S and Y. In order to delete our object, we can press X and then press delete. If you want to undo, we can press Ctrl and Z. And if you want to increase the amount of undo steps you have to go to Edit, Preferences, System, and then you can increase the undo steps under Memory and Limits. By default, Blender sets this to 32. I recommend setting this to 100, just in case you've done a couple of mistakes and you want to go back. In order to move the 3D cursor, you can press Shift and right mouse click. The 3D cursor is the spawn location for new objects, and it is useful for precise placements. Shift and right click moves that around. In order to add objects at our 3D cursor, we can press Shift and A. And from this menu, you can choose whatever object you want to spawn. So for example, we can spawn a cube, we can spawn a UV sphere, you can spawn a cone. Here is where you will find all of your spawning objects when you press Shift and A. In order to duplicate an object, you can press Shift and D. That will make a perfect copy of the object. Just delete these and reset everything back to normal. The transform orientation can be found here at the top of the 3D viewport. This dictates along which directions your object will be transformed. By default, it is set to global, so it will follow the global axes. But we can also set this to local, which if I rotate this cube and now press G and Z, you see that it will follow the x-axis of the cube itself, which the information it derives it from is over in the top right in the sidebar. It will follow this axis that are set here. These are local to the object itself. You can also set it to normal, which is the average of the selected elements combined. Right now, this will still behave as if it is the local axis because it's only one object and not multiple. And the transform always happens along the origin point. So if I move the 3D cursor out of the way and I select my object, you'll see that there's a little orange circle in the center of it. This is where the transform will always happen along. You can change the origin under Object, Set Origin, and then Origin to Geometry or Origin to 3D Cursor. So for example, I can actually set the origin to where our 3D cursor is right now. And if I rotate it, you'll see that the rotation happens from this point now. I do recommend setting a shortcut for these, especially for origin to geometry and origin to 3D cursor. I myself have set the origin to geometry to the shortcut Alt and Q, which you can do by right-clicking the option and then selecting Change Shortcut, and then inputting the shortcut that you want it to be. For the origin to 3D cursor, I've used Ctrl and Q. So I do recommend you set a shortcut for that, because often in Blender you will want to manipulate from where you either scale, rotate, or grab something. The transform pivot point is next to the transform orientation right here at the top. This dictates along which point your object will be transformed. So by default, it will be the origin point, but we can also use the active element to swap our pivot point. So if I want to change the transform and I want this cube to follow this cube's transformation point, you will see that the active element will now be from which the transform will occur. If we are satisfied with our transform, we can press Ctrl and A to apply the transformations. This will reset the transform location, rotation, scale, and dimensions back to 0 or 1. For example, if we rotate our object, which we have done right here, and we apply rotation, it will consider this object to be in its default state again. If I now want to transform it along the normal, or rotate it along the normal, along the z-axis, you see that it now believes the z-axis is applied from the default position. In order to switch modes, you can press Ctrl and Tab. From here, you can select all of the modes available to the object that you are currently editing. For example, I can go to edit mode, I can go to sculpt mode, and I can go to object mode. If you want to fast switch modes, you can press Tab to quickly swap into the next mode available to you. You can press Shift and Tab to switch on snapping. The snapping logic is set at the top of the screen, at the top of the viewport, right under the magnet icon. The settings in this drop-down will dictate where and when the snapping will occur. So right now it is snapping the base to closest, it is snapping the target by increment, and it will only affect the move. So when I press G right now, you'll see that it starts snapping to the grid by the origin point. If we move our origin point by using the shortcut I just explained, you'll see that the origin will still be snapping to the grid. You can also change this to face project, align rotation to target, and set it to move. And if I duplicate my cube and then hold the snapping, you'll see that the origin will kind of glue to the face that it is projected to. This is useful for quickly putting together a few objects in place. So it'll just snap to whatever face we're looking at. You can also press G and then hold Ctrl to temporarily apply the snapping settings that we just went over. So press G and then press and hold Ctrl to temporarily enable snapping. In order to hide our objects, we can press H. So if we wanted to hide that sphere and then hide this cube, those will now be hidden. And if we want to unhide everything in our scene, we can press Alt and hide. I also want to note that when you hide something here, you'll also see that the eye icon in the outliner in the top right will also disappear. This is where we can also individually enable and disable hiding. In order to join our objects together, we can first select all of our objects that we want to join and then press Ctrl and J. And that will join all of our selected objects to the highlighted object. So let's just do that again really quickly. Selecting by left clicking, holding Shift, and the final object that is highlighted, which is the brighter color of orange, will now be joined all together at the final object. As you can see, we can now rotate these things together without having to select them all together. Similarly, with all of our rotation, our scaling will now all happen from the origin of the finally selected object. We can, of course, also still change our origin to whatever point we want, and that is how you join things together. In order to separate our objects, we must first go into edit mode. So we can press Tab, or we can hold Ctrl and Tab to select the edit mode, and then pressing P, where we can now either separate by loose parts, selection, or material. If we select loose parts and we press Tab again, we will now have all of our objects separated by parts. I do want to note that all of the objects will still follow the origin of the originally joined mesh. So if we want to move our origin back to our geometry, we can use the shortcut Alt and Q that we set previously to move the origin back. In order to parent our objects, we can press Ctrl and P. So if we want our objects to not be joined, but still follow the transformation of another object, we can parent them by pressing Ctrl and P. I selected these two cubes, then press Ctrl and P on the sphere, and the sphere is now the parent of these two objects. As you can see, when I rotate the sphere, the cubes will follow, but when I rotate the cube, they will only rotate in place. I can first rotate our sphere, and then I can still individually rotate, scale, and move our cubes that are parented to the sphere. In order to undo parenting, you can select all objects and press Alt and P, and then select Clear Parent, which will move it back into the original spot. Or if we want to keep our transformation, we can select Clear and Keep Transformation after pressing Alt and P. So as you can see, these are now no longer parented, and they remain in the transformation that we chose previously. This marks the end of the section about the object mode. In the next video, we're going to get into the edit mode and explain some more 3D modeling terms.